The Sutra of Queen Srimala of the Lion's Roar. Chapter 5, The One Vehicle. The Buddha said to Queen Srimala, "Now you should further explain the acceptance of the true Dharma that was taught by all the Buddhas." Queen Srimala said to the Buddha, "Very well, O Lord, I will, upon receiving your exhortation." Then she said to the Buddha, "O Lord, acceptance of the true Dharma is acceptance of the Mahayana. Why? Because the Mahayana brings forth all the good acts of the world and of the transcendental, of the disciples and of the Pratyeka Buddhas. O Lord, just as the 8 great rivers flow from Lake Anavatapta, so likewise all the good acts of the world and of the transcendental, of the disciples and of the Pratyeka Buddhas emerge from the Mahayana. O Lord, moreover, just as all seeds are able to grow only when they depend upon the earth, so likewise all the good acts of the world, of the transcendental, of the disciples and of the Pratyeka Buddhas are able to increase only when they depend upon the Mahayana. Therefore, O Lord, abiding in the Mahayana, one accepts Mahayana. This is identical with abiding in the 2 vehicles and accepting all the good acts of the world, of the transcendental, and of the 2 vehicles. What are the 6 stations that the Lord explains? They are: 1. The continuity of the true Dharma. 2. The extinction of the true Dharma. 3. The rules of the Pratimoksa. 4. The discipline of the Vinaya. 5. Renunciation of one's home. And 6. Ordination. On behalf of the Mahayana, the Lord preaches these 6 stations. Why? Because the continuity of the true Dharma is explained for the sake of the Mahayana. Continuity of the Mahayana is continuity of the true Dharma. Extinction of the Mahayana is extinction of the true Dharma. The rules of the Pratimoksa and the discipline of the Vinaya have the same meaning, even though they are different in name. The discipline of the Vinaya is learned by Mahayanists. Why? Because one renounces home and becomes ordained for the sake of the Buddha. Therefore, the conduct of the Mahayana, which is the perfection of discipline, is the Vinaya, renouncing one's home and taking ordination. Consequently, in the case of the Arhat, there is no renunciation of home nor taking ordination as a separate vehicle from the Mahayana. Why? Because the Arhat renounces his home and is ordained for the sake of the Tathagata. The Arhat, seeking refuge in the Buddha, is afraid. Why? Because the Arhat lives in a state of fear toward all conditioning forces, as if a man holding a sword wished to cause him harm. Therefore, the Arhat has no ultimate happiness. Why? O Lord, being a final refuge, one does not seek refuge. Living beings who are without a refuge, having this or that fear, seek refuge because of these fears. Likewise, Arhats who have fears seek refuge in the Tathagata because of these fears. O Lord, Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas are afraid. Because these Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas still have not extinguished their lives, these psychophysical forces continue. They have not completed the practice of purity, and so remain impure. Because their actions are not ultimate, they still have actions to perform. Because they have not reached that final stage, they still have defilements that should be severed. Because these are not severed, one is far from the realm of nirvana. Why? Because only the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened one, attains final nirvana, being endowed with all merits. Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas are not endowed with all merits. When it is said that they attain nirvana, this is merely the skillful means of the Buddha. Because only the Tathagata attains final nirvana, beings endowed with inconceivable merits, Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas, are only endowed with conceivable merits. When it is said that they attain nirvana, this is merely the skillful means of the Buddha. Because only the Tathagata attains final nirvana, eliminating transgressions that should be eliminated and endowed with supreme purity, Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas who still have transgressions are not supremely pure. When it is said that they attain nirvana, this is merely the skillful means of the Buddha. Only the Tathagata attains final nirvana, is revered by all living beings, and surpasses the Arhat, Pratyeka Buddha, and Bodhisattva realms. Therefore, Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas are far from the realm of nirvana. When it is said that the Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas meditate on liberation, have the four wisdoms, and have ultimately attained their resting place, this is also the skillful means of the Tathagata, and is taught as the incomplete meaning. Why? There are two kinds of death. What are the two? They are ordinary death and the inconceivable death of transformation for a purpose. Ordinary death refers to living beings who live in unreality. The inconceivable death of transformation for a purpose refers to the mind-made bodies of the Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, and greatly powerful Bodhisattvas until the time of their supreme, complete enlightenment. Within these two kinds of death, it is the ordinary death through which Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas have completely attained the knowledge said to have, quote, extinguished their lives. Because they attain realization nirvana with remainder, it is said that, quote, the practice of holiness has been completely upheld. Because their errors and defilements have been eliminated, it is said that, quote, their actions have been completed. Actions which the common people, gods, and 7 kinds of educated people are incapable of performing. Because Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas cannot be reborn, since their defilements are eliminated, it is said that, quote, they are not reborn. When it is said that they, quote, are not reborn, this is not because they have eliminated all defilements, nor exhausted all births. Why? Because there are defilements that cannot be eliminated by Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas. There are two kinds of defilements. What are the two? They are latent defilements and active defilements. There are 4 kinds of latent defilements. They are 1. The stage of all false views of monism. 2. The stage of desiring sense pleasures. 3. The stage of desiring forms. And 4. The stage of desiring existence. From these 4 stages of defilement, there are all the active defilements. Quote, what is active is momentary and associated with the momentariness of the mind. O Lord, the mind does not associate with the stage of beginningless ignorance in the same manner. O Lord, the power of these 4 latent defilements is a basis for all active defilements, but cannot possibly be compared in number, fraction, counting, similarity, nor resemblance to ignorance in power. O Lord, such is the power of the stage of ignorance. The power of the stage of ignorance is much greater than the other stages represented by the 4th stage of desire for existence. The power of the stage of ignorance is like that of the wicked evil one, Mara, whose form, power, longevity, and retainers are both superior to and more powerful than the heaven where the gods control the enjoyments created by others. Its power is far superior to that of the other stages of defilement represented by the 4th stage of desire for existence. This basis for the active defilements, more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River, causes the 4 kinds of defilements to continue for a long time. The Arhats and Pratyeka Buddha's wisdom cannot eliminate it. Only the Tathagata's enlightenment wisdom can eliminate it. Yes, O Lord, the stage of ignorance is extremely powerful. O Lord, the three states of existence arise, conditioned by clinging to existence and by defiled actions. In like manner, O Lord, the three forms of mind-made bodies of Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, and greatly powerful Bodhisattvas are conditioned by the stage of ignorance and by pure actions. In these three levels, namely the Arhat, Pratyeka Buddha, and Bodhisattva stages, the three kinds of mind-made bodies and pure actions are based upon the latent stage of ignorance. Because all things are conditioned and not unconditioned, the three kinds of mind-made bodies and pure actions are conditioned by the stage of ignorance. O Lord, thus the other stages of defilement, represented by the fourth stage of desire for existence, are not identical with the stage of ignorance with respect to action. The stage of ignorance is different from the four stages and is eliminated by the Buddha stages and by the enlightenment wisdom of the Buddha. Why? Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas eliminate the four kinds of stages, but their purity is not complete, for they have not attained autonomy, nor have they accomplished their realization of enlightenment. Their purity that is not completed refers to the stage of ignorance. O Lord, Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas in their very last body do not know and do not awaken to the various phenomena because of the impediments of the stage of ignorance. Because they are not aware of these phenomena, they cannot absolutely eliminate what should be eliminated. Because they do not eliminate all defilements, they are, quote, liberated with remaining faults, which is not, quote, liberation separated from all faults. They have, quote, purity with remaining purification to be done, which is not purity in its entirety. They, quote, accomplish merits with remaining merits to be accomplished, which is not entirely meritorious. Because they accomplish liberation with remainder, purity with remainder, and merits with remainder, Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas know suffering with remainder, eliminate the source of suffering with remainder, attain the extinction of suffering with remainder, and practice the path with remainder. This is, quote, attaining partial nirvana. Those who attain partial nirvana are, quote, turned toward the nirvana realm. If one knows all suffering, entirely eliminate the source of suffering, attains the complete extinction of suffering, and practices the entire path, one will attain permanent nirvana in a world that is impermanent and decadent, impermanent and distressed. In a world without protection, a world without a refuge, there is a protector and a refuge. Why? There is attainment of nirvana because of the differentiation between inferior and superior phenomena. O Lord, there is attainment of nirvana because of the equality of all phenomena. Because of the equality of knowledge, one attains nirvana. Because of the equality of liberation, one attains nirvana. Because of the equality of purity, one attains nirvana. Therefore, nirvana has the same quality as liberation. O Lord, if the stage of ignorance is not absolutely eliminated, then one does not attain the same quality of knowledge and liberation. Why? If the stage of ignorance is not absolutely eliminated, then phenomena more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River that should be eliminated will not be absolutely eliminated. Because phenomena more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River that should be eliminated are not eliminated, the phenomena more numerous than sands of the Ganges River that should be attained will not be attained, and the phenomena that should be manifested will not be manifested. Therefore, the accumulation of defilements in the stage of ignorance produces both the defilements that are severed by the practice of the entire path and the virulent defilements, as well as the virulent defilements of the mind, of meditation, of concentration, of contemplation, of insight, of skillful means, of wisdom, of the results of the path, of attainment, of power, and of fearlessness. These are all the active defilements, more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River, that are eliminated by the enlightenment wisdom of the Tathagata. All these defilements are due to the stage of ignorance. All the active defilements that arise are caused by and conditioned by the stage of ignorance. O Lord, among the defilements that arise, the mind and its various faculties arise together momentarily. O Lord, the mind does not associate with the stage of beginningless ignorance in the same manner. O Lord, all phenomena more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River that should be eliminated by the Tathagata's enlightenment wisdom are supported and sustained by the stage of ignorance. For example, all the seeds that depend on the earth for their life, sustenance, and growth would be ruined if the earth were ruined. Similarly, all phenomena more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River that should be eliminated by the Tathagata's enlightenment wisdom are based upon the stage of ignorance for their life, sustenance, and growth. If the stage of ignorance is eliminated, all phenomena more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River that should be eliminated by the Tathagata's enlightenment wisdom will be eliminated. If all defilements and virulent defilements are eliminated, all phenomena more numerous than the sands of the Ganges River will be attained by the Tathagatas, who penetrate them without obstruction. Omniscience is separate from all transgressions, attaining all the merits of the Dharma King, the Dharma Lord, attaining autonomy and manifesting the stage of autonomy from all phenomena. O Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened one, who has the lion's roar, the complete extinction of one's life, the complete practice of holiness, the completion of actions, and the non-acceptance of rebirth have been explained up until now based upon your lion's roar for their complete meaning. O Lord, there are two kinds of knowledge that do not accept rebirth. First, there is the knowledge of the Tathagatas, who, by means of their unsurpassed powers, subdue the four evil ones, appear in all worlds, and are worshipped by all living beings. They attain the inconceivable Dharma body, all spheres of knowledge, and unobstructed autonomy in all things. In this stage, there is no action nor attainment that is higher. Having the 10 magnificent powers of knowledge, they ascend to the supreme, unexcelled, fearless stage. With their omniscient, unobstructed knowledge, they understand without relying on another. This wisdom that does not accept rebirth is the lion's roar. O Lord, second, there is the knowledge of Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas, who cross over the fears of birth and death and gradually attain the happiness of liberation with this thought, quote, I have parted from the fears of birth and death and no longer experience the suffering of birth and death. Lord, when Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas meditate, they do not accept rebirth and have insight into the supremely restful stage of nirvana. O Lord, those who first attained that stage of nirvana were not ignorant of the Dharma and were not dependent upon others. They also knew they had attained the stages with remainder through their own efforts and would inevitably attain supreme complete enlightenment, or Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Why? Because the Sravaka, or disciple, and Pratyeka Buddha vehicles are included in the Mahayana. The Mahayana is the Buddha vehicle. Therefore, the three vehicles are the one vehicle. Those who attain the one vehicle attain supreme complete enlightenment. Supreme complete enlightenment is the realm of nirvana. The realm of nirvana is the Dharma body of the Tathagata. Attaining the absolute Dharma body is attaining the absolute one vehicle. The Tathagata is not different from the Dharma body. The Tathagata is identical to the Dharma body. If one attains the absolute Dharma body, then one attains the absolute one vehicle. The absolute one vehicle is unlimited and unceasing. O Lord, the Tathagata, who is not limited by time, is the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened one, equal to the utmost limit of the cycle of birth and death. The Tathagata is without limitation. His great compassion also is unlimited, bringing peace and comfort to the world. His unlimited great compassion brings unlimited peace and comfort to the world. This explanation is a good explanation concerning the Tathagata. If one again speaks of the inexhaustible Dharma, the eternally abiding Dharma that is the refuge of all worlds, this is also a good explanation concerning the Tathagata. Therefore, in a world that has not been saved, a world without a refuge, there is an inexhaustible, eternally abiding refuge equal to the utmost limit of the cycle of birth and death, namely, the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened one. The Dharma is the path of the one vehicle. The Sangha is the assembly of the three vehicles. These two refuges are not the ultimate refuge. They are called the partial refuge. Why? The Dharma of the path of the one vehicle attains the absolute Dharma body. Furthermore, there can be no Dharma body other than that of the one vehicle. The assembly of the three vehicles, the Sangha, being afraid, seeks refuge in the Tathagata. Those students who go out to practice turn toward supreme complete enlightenment. Therefore, these two refuges are not the ultimate refuge, but are limited refuges. If there are living beings who are subdued by the Tathagata, they will seek refuge in the Tathagata, attain the permeation of the Dharma, and will have faith and happiness, seeking refuge in the Dharma and Sangha. These two refuges, however, are not two refuges, for they seek refuge in the Tathagata. Seeking refuge in the Supreme Truth is seeking refuge in the Tathagata. The Supreme Truth of these two refuges is the ultimate refuge, the Tathagata. Why? Because the Tathagata is not different from the two refuges. The Tathagata is identical with the three refuges. Why? Because of the path of the one vehicle. The Tathagata, who has perfected the four states of fearlessness, is the one who teaches with the lion's roar. The Tathagata, according to individual dispositions, teaches through skillful means. This is the Mahayana, and not the three vehicles. The three vehicles enter the one vehicle. The one vehicle is the supreme vehicle.